All right, here we are in the Golden City, part of the Golden Company's build in Pax Day. I just wanted to kind of highlight and go through a couple of my thoughts with some builds that I made during Golden Company, Golden City 6. So here's the armory that I built. It's based in a pretty interesting plot location. It was kind of wedged between the Justice Center and the bank, and there was a good bit of rock out the front of it and trees, so I decided to try and build around those and kind of create a courtyard. I also worked on this area of decking out the front here that was in a bit of a mess when we were developing this building, so tidied it up. And all of the woodwork here is there because there's actually a catacombs pathway underneath. Additionally, I built this tower defense sort of area, kind of castle gate, to lead into the area, and just decorated it out to make it look nice and thematic. Put some guard keep sort of rooms to either side of the gateway as you come through, as the stairs ahead there go up to the cathedral, and to the left of the armory building is the barracks. So we wanted to have like a protective space in here. So here in the armory, wanted a kind of portcullis feel. There's an entrance here towards the barracks and the cathedral, an entrance down there towards the Petra Day and the stables over in the distance there. But again, a kind of portcullis-y sort of vibe. I wanted the building to feel defensible. Wanted to have a sort of repair station area here and kind of flesh it out with a few more bits and pieces around the repair stations to make it feel a bit more lived in. But the majority bulk here of the armory is, of course, the storage for sets of gear and for armor and weapons and all those sorts of things. So armor up here on the left wall, weaponry through the middle, and raid food and potions that we generally use against the far wall. I've noticed this lighting bug issue that you seem to get when there's a mixture of daylight coming in through space and lighting in the space itself. Sometimes we get a big flash of white. It's down in the dungeon here. I wanted a kind of a catacombs feel. This is where we keep the sort of magical items, each individual box being a bit of a relic storage for magical items of individual types, so like helmets in one, shoulders in another, chest in another, but very much with this vibe of lit pillars and a nice glowy vibe. There's a little side entrance here that's kind of tucked underneath the stairwell that leads out into that courtyardy garden out the front, and decided to put some kind of target dummies out in front. If you're coming to the armory to get a weapon, it's good to be able to test it out, and a good space to do so. So back into the catacombs here, you can see a little bit more of the storage around the back here. And right in this back corner here, we've also got entrance to the underground catacombs as well. Come back up the stairs into the middle floor, ground floor, and then we'll go up to the floor above. Up on this floor, I wanted to do sort of an indoor archery range, very much in line with, again, like the target dummies out the front. You come to the armory, check out a weapon, get to test it out in the same space, and fleshed it out a little bit more around that with some sort of seating, living quarters, so that we could, have a nice meal up here, enjoy the view from the balcony, and enjoy kind of stacking barrels around the place. I think when you bring those together in a group, in a clump, it makes quite a nice feel to the decor overall, makes it feel a bit more lived in, and a nice view out to the Petra Day. The rear windows here face out towards the courtyard of the barracks, which was kind of a parade ground vibe. As we go upstairs, again, kind of going with the theme of defensibility, this whole rear corner is like a defensive stony build next to or part of the armory. So this would be a kind of guard's room, and the roof was designed very much to be a defensible platform out towards the Petra Day and the road on this side, and then over this way out towards the castle fortified gate, the pathway in between, and then on the back side out towards the parade ground in front of our residential building. And then as you come back in towards here in the guard tower, got one more floor to go and explore just for again a kind of top deck defensible space to look out over the region. But yeah, the plot was pretty fun. Okay, so here's our guest stables. I wanted to have a couple of different things here. I wanted to design a kind of higher vaulted archway entrance, a paddocks, some stables, a smithy area, and a muck pile as well to bring the whole thing together into one themed area. So the roof was kind of the most fun with this. We kind of had a crisscrossing set of roofing by chance more than anything. The gap between the 2 points led it to be crossed, and I thought, yeah, it's beautiful. Let's work with that. And so making all the accompanying wood beams that flesh that out and make it look much more like a welcoming awning worked very nicely. Wanted to have some hitching posts out the front and down the side of the building. Was trying to do some fun things with windows here. So that kind of front window that's designed to be a little more of a reception window, the kind of balcony area up there, and these side windows all wooden beamed out. And then, I wanted the raised ceiling because I wanted to be able to ride a horse in here theoretically to a check-in desk at the front here, and then onwards towards stables at the back without having to get off. So roof height was important. And as such, we had this kind of slightly vaulted roof space to deal with. And I'm looking forward to being able to get rid of trees full stop, although I like building around them. There's always a few that just you'd like to get rid of properly. So yeah, I used the stairs to make this ridge in the middle and create this balcony space facing out towards the city. Again, tableau it out, put a nice bit of decor around. But this is supposed to be essentially a tack room up here, so some storage for saddles, reins, etc. A little bit of seating and storage area, and that vaulted ceiling through the middle. Tables on the side here again, just going with that theming of dealing with tack and saddles and such. You'd have a space to do that. And I wanted, if you've ever been in actual stables, hay gets everywhere. So even here in this walkway in, I wanted to have this kind of sunken hay from using roof pieces to get that vibe of you're going to get hay everywhere. Pretty nice, sort of in the way of lighting, some custom gates built just with beams and like 1.5 high walling to be able to get that kind of right height for a horse to sit in, which just again sells that believability. I wanted to create some bedding, so this is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces, I think. 3 side pieces, 2 end pieces, and 2 top pieces that create a good-looking horse stable bedding. Again, just fleshing it out here with barrels and such that very much feel at home around the space. And using the haze again here to create these kind of circular mounds out of 4 corner pieces. And the fencing was something that was quite fun for me here. I wanted to make something a bit more unique and artistic, uh, using the space that we had with the trees in it. And then in this corner here, a little bit of a kind of blacksmithing zone, shoeing horses, always good when you've got stables on the go. And then onto the muck heap. The muck heap was actually a bit of an existing mound of ground, and then built the framework around that. Another tree we'd love to get rid of. But yeah, using lots of hodgepodge of different straw roof pieces to get that feeling of various wheelbarrows mucked out and just chucked higgledy piggledy on the pile, really. Then on to our main clan stables. So having done the guest stables, I thought we need more space. So unlike the 7 stable bays that we have in the guest one, this has a total of 28 horse stalls. I wanted the entrance ramp here to be very gradual and very wide to be able to walk a horse comfortably up it. So hence the big sweeping front entrance. And like the other side, we have paddocks, we have blacksmithing areas, we have a muck heap, which we'll all get around seeing. And in this one, we have a big hay barn as well. So I wanted the entrance to feel quite obvious. Nice bit of florals around that, and just some clear shaping around it. Similar to the high vaulted ceiling, and wanted that same peaking to this. And clear entrance, obviously, up into the paddock as well. As we go further up around here, you see it's kind of very gradual. You could easily walk a horse up this sort of space, um, and leads us nicely up onto the kind of main stable area here, which is very similar, as you'll see, to the guest stables in its design. No major differences over this side. Um, on any components of the stable blocks, but I wanted to have this clear shape language, these pathways either side and a zone in the middle. So I use those long wall pieces to just have the tops of them peeking through the concrete and make some demarcation of these spaces. Ambi, one of our builders, made us a lovely horse sculpture. She did a cracking job with this. And then we've got just under through this way a tack room again. So we've got some storage down the bottom area here with a good outlay of barrels and a good mix of bits and pieces around them. And then it'd be a long way to take a wheelbarrow all the way down to here and to the muck heap. So I created a shortcut of essentially a diving board for your poop. And actually the muck heap is slightly elevated because underneath that hay is actually 4 campfires, so it will steam as you get closer to it, and it triggers those graphics. Up the top here was the tack room, much similar to the other side, just a nice bit of storage space. Some leftover building gear up here. And then down the far end of the stables, a bit of an outside seating area, good source of water. Every stable's going to need that. But also then at the end here, designing more of a hay barn with again a broad mix of different shapes of hay roofing, straw roofing to lay out this and make it feel more realistic by having lots of different sizes and shapes rather than just one. And similar very much up the top here. Good mixed bag of things. I was pretty happy with how this came up. One of the concerns we had was the blockiness of it, and you'll see in a minute what we did about that. So this pathway here is kind of a trellis roof sort of space, I'm trying to be a bit artistic with it. But again, you could take a horse, walk it through here, and then out into the paddocks and design some gates just to essentially be able to theoretically close and block off the paddock from the rest of the stable. I'm pretty sure the following lumbering accidents would have OSHA, crying. It's a pretty close hit. But yeah, you can see from the top view here to cut up the block of the initial rectangle that was the foundation. We put these kind of rounded balustrades around the outside just to break that shape language up. So this is one of the signposts that I made for the city. Just after we started getting these signages in, people were getting lost in our giant city, so I thought it's about time we get some signage. And other than this slightly artistic sort of build, quite close to the Petra Day, one of the first things you'll see as you come into the city. There's also a good few secondary signposts around the place to continue leading you in the right direction, and eventually to the door of the place, which is also signposted with the same signage over the top. So we can't tell you what it is with words, but images help pretty well. So here was a walled garden that I built to essentially break up a hard corner of the tailors. There's a kind of no man's land that we can't build in this little greenery wedge here. But the walled garden just wanted to round off the hard corner of the tailoring workshop, uh, and of course let lots of light in, so mixing it between wall and wood pieces. And again, under a bit of a gazebo and protection, there's some dining area. We actually walled off a couple of trees here, but they've just been cut down. And again, you can just clearly imagine the tailors coming out and being out here having lunch. A little bit of sculpture leaning into the kind of thread bobbin on the top of it. Just trying to get a little bit in vibe with that. So here we've got the Colosseum. The Petra Day, the large sculpture on the far right of shot currently, was pre-built before I got here, and the sort of buildings all to the left the same. The courtyard that we're walking into in the minute was kind of the first bits of the Colosseum build itself. The trees that were here kind of shaped a lot of things again for me, trying to work with those as best I can. So there's some trees in the Colosseum. The actual outside of the building was built in a space of greenery. These lots of trees in the front naturally separated into two separate paths, and so I kind of worked with that shape language all the way through. So there's kind of an entrance either side of the Colosseum, and they all path from there. So another good sculpture here from Ambi, and you can see at the top there what is actually the VIP area. Again, like any good stadium vibe, you've got some food options when you get there. Excuse the kind of carpentry blocks and box out the front from doing the sculpture in the middle there. But yeah, again, nice little tableau of some food cooking and a seating area to eat in over here and some benches around the outside. Very much that kind of first open space you'll meet when you come to many stadiums where people will congregate before making their way in proper. The three gates here at the front are designed to try and funnel down to the right or left side and not down the middle. So again, the shape of the sculpture in the middle helps with that. And in the narrowing of the gate here makes people less likely to want to walk through it, as this leads to the VIP entrance. You can't see it very well here as it's daylight, but these braziers work really well at night at casting some light up the wall and on these pieces of woods that are all covering up or mostly covering the braziers and the sconces that are tucked in there. So coming in through the front entrance here, designed not to look too grand because it's mostly access for both the VIPs and a little check-in desk there, but also some of the gladiators rather than the main punters. Deliberately left some bits on this stairwell open to allow some lights in as well, because these close packed stairwells can be difficult. Some custom built VIP seating and probably the best view in the house out into the fighting pit, which we had to work around the trees. And the one that was at the far end is one that can't be cut down at all. Some flags on the sides and seating that you can see here using the long um, stairwell pieces so that you actually have a lot of extension of stone underneath and can make the majority of the Colosseum wall out of it. So then, yeah, you can see here that we've got that space of the arena itself, flags around the side. See a little bit of the ruin that I built in the bottom corner here to make better use of the space rather than just having a low sunken plain open area. If you've got an arena, that's a death pit right there, but having some ruins made it more worthwhile and could work as a space. So mirroring on both sides, there's these side entrance ways that bring you up to the access to the main seating for general public. Another tree I'd like to get rid of. But again, we've got some benches to mill on here as potentially you're eating food or getting ready to go into the stadium. And in here, some food stalls based under these stairs. So we've got some ovens back there and a cooking station, very much in keeping with the idea of going to a stadium, getting some beverages and a hot dog, whatever, before going into the stadium itself. With a little access point tucked around the back here, so that if you've got staff that are running the shop, a bit of role play going on, then they can do so from this environment around here without having to vault over anything. But essentially, after picking up your food, having a drink, whatever, you can go upstairs here and go via the stairwell to the entrance. Put a little ticket booth on the way up, space for people to have pay for their entrance or to check in their tickets, and then they can carry up on the stairs here through the covered entrances to the main seating area. So using those stairwells creates a nice little seating bank along the sides there, and of course adds that verticality. And it's all built on a leveled foundation, so all of these were going to be level all the way around. You can kind of see the seam down there a little bit. A little bit of a wood fence safety, and this tiled line of short eaves here just makes a really nice break up to a solid wall of stone otherwise. I just briefly saw there the kind of spires, just to make it again a little more visually iconic from a distance. I wanted the Colosseum to have this kind of break up to its roofing and something that was eye-catching. And it did take quite a lot of roofing pieces to do this one, so lots of clay. At the end here was kind of a shrine area. We've got this space with a couple of braziers, and then looking out towards the symbol of the divine. And if it wasn't for the tree in the middle, you get a lovely view of that, as we'll see a little bit later from the VIP booth. But this was very much a Colosseum design in line specifically with that initial monument. It just plays nicely into all of that together. As you can see on this side, similar mirroring, another ticket station, another lot of food availability under this side as well. A little more trees on this side to deal with, but try to work with them as best we can. Around the back here, we've got some animal cages. And we've got the gladiators housing. So with this, I wanted to roof off one area, make bedding underneath that roofed area. If you're keeping beasts, you've got to keep them happy. And we built some strong doors, and just again feels very much like the type of vibe. If you had bears or beasts to fight, you would keep them in something like that. This side, a little bit more of a fortified entranceway, just thematically. I quite liked having this portcullis gate here, and gladiators would walk into the fight in this end of things. Used a few beams to make large doors, very much in line with some of the other large doors in the city, but it gives a bit of a grand entrance as well. And then the gladiators housing itself, a relatively boxy building, but broken up a fair bit by the roof eaves and by the balcony as well, which we'll see shortly. But very simple dining, living space down here, storage for stuff. Didn't flesh this one out too much, but a few nice upstairs bits, sort of julienne balcony, small seating area on the landing, bathroom space, and then sort of dorm style bedroom for people to be relaxing in. You know what? If you're a gladiator and you're in here and you've got to get to the front entrance rather than this rear entrance to the Colosseum, there has to be a way to do that without walking past all the punters. So around the back here, I wanted to do this kind of sunken pathway that's hidden underneath the ticket office and food options down this side, this main stairs. So in this area, which I was initially using to store all my building gear in, I thought we'd turn it into a bit of a training space with some target dummies in it, similar to out the front of the armory. And then you can carry on walking right through this space, and it brings you right up by the side of the braziers and the front entrance to the Colosseum. It's pretty well tucked away. It's hard to see from either end if you're more of a punter rather than a gladiator. So then lastly here, a bit of an overview again. You can see a little bit there, the large brazier, the courtyard area, some of those spires on top, how the stairs build in and break up the just plain concrete sides of the Colosseum, how the roof kind of dips away to keep that view over the Papal Magnet, and the VIP booth up on this side, which you'll see now. Again, we wanted to have some of the symbols of the divine built into the VIP booth. Use that in part of the shape language of the roof. Yeah, if you imagine that one tree isn't there, the one that you can't knock down right in the middle, that'd be quite the view through there. So this was actually my first build. This was kind of before I actually joined the Golden Company. Recently, we switched the thatch roof out for a clay tiled roof on the left side of there. But essentially, it was all designed to be kilns, industry, the workbenches that I needed to get myself up and running. On this back corner here, a bit of necessity, I had to build kind of cut in because I didn't have space on the plot when someone removed a plot next to mine. But on this side, kind of more of a food area, spit roast, fire pit. And there's some charcuterie cutting area around the side here, and table and chairs. And then, of course, a little bit of a tapestry type nook around the corner. Upstairs, more of a kind of living accommodation where we got some seating and some bedding and a nice little balcony out here with a view over the waterline. I quite enjoyed fleshing this one out. I thought it was quite an interesting couple of bits of shape to work with up here, and some custom windows again built and trying to be a bit creative with, like this big lattice work window here, so you can still see into the kiln area without having to enter it necessarily. And yeah, a whole bunch of kilns, some storage, a little bit of seating, and our main crafting benches just down the side here. A couple of forges and a brick kiln at the end. Nice and open plan. If you've got a lot of smoke going on there, you want to be able to vent it very easily. So big wide open sides and eaved roofs with exits out of them. And then later on, I decided to add on a plot at the front here and actually build a bit of a fishing dock with a bit of a lattice roof down here. It's quite fun seeing what you can do with beams in this game. It does allow you to be really creative. You can very much imagine taking one of these little stalls down here with your fishing rod and seeing what the catch of the day is. And then a kind of seating and cooking area designed around that sort of concept and idea to make something useful. And then finally, we've got the bridge. So there was a bridge here previously, a simple wooden one. Just wanted to flesh it out a little bit more. The initial concept was to try and make kind of an eaved or suspension style of bridge. But the suspension cabling idea I had didn't really work out. So we went with a little bit more of kind of decorative railings and archways along the three tower bridge here. But it was nice to try and keep clear waterways. Imagining boats coming through that space, you need to be able to bring them through. And with the gap that I had, that's about as narrow as I could make the middle piece and still be able to suspend the piece between. We very much had a neighbouring bridge, which you'll see shortly, with this style of roofing on the towers. So I wanted to carry that over here to make it consistent. And enjoyed using the wood beaming sunk into the floor to use this symbology of three towers in the floor piece. Rather than have just all stone, it's always nice to cut out a good bit of flooring and put some wood crossings in. Some of our other clan members did that on other bridges that we have, and the lighting that you can hang from it makes it look lovely at night time. Some nice views out, and here you can see that bridge I was mentioning and the roofing on that tower that was used as the styling idea for this one. And you can see, just as we go down the stairs shortly, the two triangular roof pieces that came together one notch bit narrower, which gave this lovely crisscrossing at the top of those two bits of triangular wood. And very much the same. Dress it out with lots of planting, make interesting windows, and break up stone so it's just not one monotonal slab of stone where possible with wood. And there you have it, the Golden City. Thank you everyone to being a huge part of growing the Golden Company and the Golden City. Thank you to all the gatherers, the builders, the raiders, everyone involved with the Golden Company. I'm absolutely loving it so far, and look forward to future developments of Golden Company, Golden City 7.